Good afternoon, North Carolina A&T. North Carolina A&T Aggies are coming off a 21-6 loss at Delaware. This week, North Carolina A&T returns home for Ag Day, and we have a pitmaster cooking contest going on. And the Aggies will take on the Richmond Spiders at 1 p.m. At Truist Stadium. With us here today, of course, is our head coach, Mr. Vincent Brown. We also have with us cornerback Janaz Sumter, and kicker Owen Daffer. But without further ado, our head coach, Mr. Vincent Brown.
Good afternoon. It's a great day in Aggie land, and it is a great day to be better today than we were yesterday. Yes, indeed. First, I want to recap Saturday's game. Obviously, tough loss against a very, very talented veteran team in Delaware. When we looked at their roster going into the game, there were about 20 players on the roster in there too deep on both sides of the ball that were fifth-year players and older. And so we knew we were going to be going up against one of the top 10, 15 teams in the country. When you play teams like that, you can't afford to make the kind of mistakes that we made. And we uncharacteristically turned the ball over 3 times, which when you do that, you're almost never going to win the game. We had some other miscues, the block punt right before halftime that literally almost gave them another opportunity to score. But there are also a lot of bright spots. And, you may not be able to see them from a big picture standpoint like we do, but I thought that our offense was more diverse than it had been the previous games this season. We were able to run the ball effectively. I thought our offensive line, in particular, our 2 guards, did a phenomenal job of blocking on Saturday. We still have some work to do in the passing game. I thought our defense was very resilient. We played the kind of game defensively that we thought we needed to play in order to have a chance to win it at the end, which was not to give up explosive play passes, which Delaware had thrived on throughout the course of this season. The weather may have had a little impact on their ability to throw, but not as much as we felt like our game plan. Defensively, we were very good getting off the field on 3rd down. I think they were 2 of 11, and we were good in the red zone. So anytime you keep them from scoring touchdowns in the red zone, you have to applaud that. So a lot to build on, and knowing that we got a lot to correct and get ready for a very talented Richmond team coming in. I had one of our staff members say to me on Friday that, Coach, what we're doing is working. The record may not reflect it right now, but what we're doing is working. You see that young man right there? And he pointed out one of our players. He's like, he's completely different now. That young man was an angry student, mad at the world, didn't trust anybody. And look at him now. And so those are small victories for me and for our program, because it goes back to our purpose of total development of our players on and off the field. And we're just going to keep building. Last week was midterms, and looking at the midterm grades that we got in, significant improvement of our football team over where we were during spring football. And so, again, those are positives to build on, to build the type of program that we want to have. Now on to the Spiders. Very, very talented team, having won the last 2 games. Offensively, they figured out how to produce points. They have a number of gadget plays in which they've taken advantage of people not being disciplined with their eyes on defense. Defensively, they're very, very tough. They rush the passer really well, and they're really good against the run. I think they're probably in the top 4 or 5 teams in the conference in rush defense. So it'll be a big challenge ahead. Again, they got some veteran guys, but we have who we have, and we're excited about the opportunity for them to come into our house and to play in front of our home crowd. So with that, any questions?
Coach, you just touched on some small victories off the field. When do you think they'll start? When do you think that you can start seeing them on the field?
Yeah, we would hope immediately. Each week we go out and we plan and we prepare to play the type of game that we need to play in order to win. And, there are a lot of good things that happened Saturday, but just not enough. And as I alluded to earlier, when you turn the ball over 3 times, you're almost never going to win. And then when you factor in some of the other things that happened during the course of the game, you really put yourself at a disadvantage. The beauty of it is our guys are not deterred at all. We say, so what, now what? We will not be deterred. We're going to keep focused. We're going to keep our vision on the next opponent and getting ready to beat the Spiders.
As a head coach, building a program, seeing those small victories as part of the step, that must make you proud knowing that you are taking those steps and those small steps.
Very so, very much so. Our guys work extremely hard. They work extremely hard, and we see the changes coming. A friend of mine sent me a message a couple of weeks ago and, simply said, rarely do you get to harvest during the same season that you plant. And we're sowing the seeds for what we want to be the remainder of this season and certainly for the future of A&T football.
Williams, Black College Sports Page Coach, you must be a farmer coming from Mississippi. Is that the deal?
Well, I'm actually from Atlanta, Georgia, so I just went to school in Mississippi. But, we look at, our program holistically. And, of course, we want to win. There's no one more disappointed than I am. I promise you that. The amount of hours that our staff puts in to trying to put the game plan together to win each game. But we understand that there's a process, and sometimes when you're playing with a number of young players, which we do, I think in our 2 deep defensively, we had 7 freshmen playing on Saturday. 7 freshmen, which freshmen make freshman mistakes, And so we feel really good about the future of our program, just working to correct the mistakes one play at a time.
Well, my real question was 21-6 to a team in the top 10. Was that a step forward, despite the fact that you didn't win? Was that a step forward, you think, for the program?
I think, for our guys, the messaging was, look, here's a top 10 program, and we were right there had we not turned the ball over. We were right there had we not had a dumb penalty here. We were right there had we not gotten a punt blocked. So the messaging is there's some disparities, but the disparities aren't wide. And if we play the type of football that we're capable of, we'll be competitive every game of the season.
Coach, Delaware came in pretty effective in the red zone, but I felt like A&T did a good job of holding them for much of the game. I believe 2 for 6 in the red zone. What were the biggest keys in terms of the defense holding it down once they got deep in territory?
Yeah, I think, as I said earlier, our guys fought. They were very disciplined down in the red zone, And so when you play with discipline, when you play with focus, when you play with effort, you give yourself a chance to win almost every game. And, I was really proud of the way our guys fought, 3rd down, red zone, Sometimes you can be a little deflated when they get the ball down there, but our guys were like, so what, now what? We got to go out and get a stop. And they did.
And Coach, I guess against Richmond, in your eyes, what do you think will be the biggest keys to success against the Spiders this week?
So we have to be more balanced. Obviously, we've talked about this for the last few weeks. We are a run-oriented team offensively, but we need to be able to move the ball and produce first downs and play the type of game that we need to keep the chains going, stay on schedule. Defensively, not letting them throw the ball over our heads. They have a number of gadget passes that they've hit the last 2 opponents on to produce touchdowns. And so if we can keep the ball in front of us, we got to tackle better defensively. And always defending and shutting down the run game is key to being successful.
Coach, what are you hoping to see from KJ this week after last week's performance?
Growth. Each and every week, we're looking for him to take another step in his development. And he's done some really nice things, and then he's made some real true freshman mistakes. And so, we're just saying, hey, look, relax. We want to see continued growth from him.
Got a good game for Wesley on Saturday. That balance between him and Kenji, how can you keep that going and take it to another step this week?
Yeah, they're both very talented players, and we talked about it this morning of figuring out a way to make sure that they're getting touches, and we're finding a way to put the ball in our best players' hands, each and every opportunity that we have. With our offensive line being one of the strengths of our team, being able to run the football, but again, we have to be effective in passing the ball when we need to pass also.
Coach, I know the weather, a little rainy out there, maybe a little is actually, it was raining pretty good. In terms of the fumbles this week, was there anything about the weather that you think impacted the ball security issue this week?
Not at all. If you look at the one critical error that Kevin had, he's reaching out and trying to extend the ball over the pylon, and the ball literally slips out of his hands as opposed to hanging onto the ball and running out of bounds at the 1 yard line. With Kenji and Wes, both, I think the defense did a just job of literally going in and raking the ball out of their hands. And so we focused all the time on ball security, and our guys just didn't hang on to the ball high and tight like they needed to.
In terms of guys, stretching to the pylon or toward the goal line, do you have any coaching rules that you tell your players in terms of, in this situation, don't reach the ball, or in that situation, make sure to tuck it or anything like that?
Yeah, it's always about protecting the ball. Always. So if you're going to put the ball in jeopardy, don't do it. Protect the football at all costs. And I actually had questions for the officials on the play. Had there been a pylon cam, maybe you get a little different view, but, as they saw it, ball came out and touchback. So.
Is there anything the team is doing in practice in particular to kind of emphasize that aspect of the game?
Yeah, anytime you anticipate weather, practicing with a wet ball becomes something that you need to focus on. The weather was not horrendous. I've played in much worse weather than what we saw Saturday. You can throw the football in the rain. You just have to be more conscious with your eyes and your delivery.
And in terms of Richmond, how would you describe the scheme that they run offensively and defensively?
So they're multiple offensively, mostly 11 personnel, some 12. They give you every imaginable formation. They're finding ways to get the ball into the hands of their best players through quick screens, through gadget plays. They're going to take their vertical shots. And defensively, they're four-man front, mostly zone coverage, keep the ball inside and in front.
Coach, don't want to be a dead horse, but passing, still not in the triple digits. I think 7 for 17. Was that an improvement this week?
It wasn't good enough, So as much as we have placed an emphasis on it, and when you're dropping passes, that factors into your ability to throw the football.
When did you say you dropped this week?
I'm sorry.
How many do you think you dropped this week?
Oh, if I remember correctly, there were 6 or 7 drops, and some came at critical junctures of the game. So we got to eliminate those. Quarterbacks have to do a better job of putting the ball on the receivers. But when you combine the missed targets, the missed opportunities of catching the ball, it makes for a challenging day from a passing standpoint.
So I looked at KJ's stats in high school. I think his last year, he completed 80% of his passes, almost like 4,000 yards,
Sure.
bunch of touchdowns. What's not happening? What's shouldn't translate? I mean,
Yeah, so obviously the college game is very different than high school. So you're seeing a whole another level of defense and coverages and people scheming up the offense. So we have to continue to build his confidence, take advantage of his skill set, and just focus on eliminating the things that cause us to lose games. Mistakes, mental mistakes, playing the improper techniques and things of those nature.
In terms of the offense, I know against Norfolk, the read option was really a success. Is there anything you look for in terms of the opposing defenses, in terms of, how much or when you want to use those read option plays?
Sure, a lot of that is based on the schematics and what they're going to take away. And Delaware, they were not going to let Kevin run the football. So schematically, they structured things to take away the quarterback option part of the read zone, and so we have to have other answers.
Other questions for Coach from our media?
So that taking away the quarterback, that's why Wesley had 20 carries.
Yeah, literally you're reading the defender to decide whether you're going to keep it or give it, and if they go right to the quarterback, it's a give read. So
he did. KJ did a good job.
Oh yeah. There are a couple of times he misread it where he should have pulled it, but by and large, he's improving each week.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it.
Yep, my pleasure.
We will bring up our kicker first. Owen Daffer had 2 field goals on Saturday. He's done an excellent job for us throughout the season. So the next voice you'll hear is from our kicker, Owen Daffer. Questions?
I can talk about it. Now, Owen, tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name's Owen Daffer. I'm from Wilmington, North Carolina. I'm a junior on the field. I transferred in from East Carolina. Played there for 2 years. I was a first team all-conference my first year. Second year after that, I transferred here, and now I'm an Aggie.
So did you transfer after the Show Me My Money game?
No. That was before me.
Talk about the 2 kicks. They scared to ask questions. Talk about the 2 kicks, Saturday.
All right, 2 kicks. My first one was my 43-yarder, which is my long for the year. That was nice to get, especially in the conditions with being a little cold. Thank you. With it being cold and rainy, it's harder to kick the ball in those conditions. So to be able to get the long for the year was nice. It shows me that I'm able to back that up even more. If I'm able to do it then in good conditions, I could definitely get a farther kick field goal. And then the second one was a pretty close kick. It was 23-yarder, right hash.
Easy peasy.
Yeah, easy peasy.
What's your long in East Carolina?
It was a 54-yard game winner.
Who was that against?
Navy.
Navy.
Mm-hmm.
So you good from 50 plus?
Yeah.
What's that was the longest of your either high school or college?
Yeah, it was everything. And it was pretty cool to get it as a game winner too.
So were you warming
Special
up?
experience.
Do you ever kick from beyond that spot?
Yeah, for sure. When I'm warming up, I'll try and test my range. I I'll just go back as far as I possibly can, and then if I feel like I'm out of my range, then I'm gonna stop backing up because there's no point.
What is the, what's the longest you ever kicked warming up?
Warming up,
Yeah.
there was a lot of wind behind me, but it was 67. Everybody's longest is there's a ton of wind behind them because that's the days you gotta
Wait a minute,
test it out.
Are kickers like fishermen, like with fish you caught 67? You actually kicked the 60.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't lie about it.
Which high school did you go to in Wilmington?
New Hanover High School. It actually reminds me of this place a lot. Like the practice field reminds me of this place. I've got a lot of good memories from there. So yeah, when I come out of practice every day, I remind myself about high school a lot, and it makes me feel good.
What was your long in high school?
50.
Have an agreement.
Me and Bankins just from each direction of the field. 'Cause depending on the wind, if the wind's behind you one way, it's going to be in your face the other way, and we'll talk about the range for each way at the beginning of the game, during the game if it switches, and yeah, we make sure it's clear.
So far this season, you're what for what?
I don't know. I feel like sometimes I try to focus on it and like really think about what I am, but I feel like it's more important to play free and swing free and not really worry about your stats for the year, because then you'll be thinking too much about it, and when you really should just be thinking about that one kick.
I know oftentimes kickers, you'll practice in a different area than, the rest of the guys. I mean, for those that maybe don't know the life of a kicker, or even you personally, how would you describe your practice routine, the different drills you do, and, your preparation for a game week in and week out?
Yeah, being a kicker is a lot different than being a regular player. There's only so many kicks you can do during a given day or week, so you have to be smart with the reps that you take, because if you take too many, you might injure yourself throughout the week, or you might wear your leg out, and then by the time game day comes, you are tired and your leg feels heavy, and you're just not going to be able to kick the best that you possibly can on game day. So I try to be very smart on the reps that I take. I try and make sure that I practice different scenarios in my head. Taking mental reps is really important for kickers as well.
Would you say that you have a unique bond between, let's say, the long snapper, the holder, the punter, different guys in that specialist group?
100%. Those guys, Caleb, Brickhouse, and Ruddy, when I first got in here, I immediately just clung to them. Like they embraced me pretty quick when I first got here, and we've had a great time ever since I've got here. We share a lot of laughs, and they are really important to me, or in every kicker, long snapper and holder, because a lot of people don't understand how important they are in terms of the success of a kicker, because if they do good, then you're allowed to do good. If they do bad, it makes it a lot harder on you to do good, and they have done a great job this year for me, and I really appreciate them for that.
What's your major?
Liberal studies, and I changed it from business, but I was business.
Do you are you the last play in practice to determine whether they run or not?
Excuse me?
When you at the end of practice, do you have to make the field goal to determine whether the team runs or not?
We did that one time in fall camp, but I don't know. We do a 2-minute drill, and I've kicked a couple. I've made them in practice, but I don't know if they determined whether we ran or not. Did they? One of them did, but all the other ones I don't know. I think they were just
Did you make it?
yeah.
Just trying to win the game.
Yeah, just trying to.
Is it for Owen? Thank you, Owen. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Now we're going to bring up one of our veteran players. Has really done a great job for A&T over the years. Started at cornerback on Saturday, Janaz Sumter.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Questions?
Tell us about yourself.
I'm Janal Sumter. I'm from Hemingway, South Carolina. I came here in 2019 when I won a Celebration Bowl my freshman year. I'm a criminal justice major, and I'm glad to be here.
The defense, especially in the passing department, has been strong as of late. What have been the biggest keys in terms of the coverage and having success defending the pass?
Like Coach said, defending the deep balls, having good eye discipline, and, just staying on your man when he's man.
Have you ever gotten a 40 time on you?
The last time I ran a 40 was about I want to say my sophomore year here. Ran the 40. I don't really do the 40 like that, but I ran a 4.5, low 4.5. Feel like I can get a 4.4 if I want to.
Defensively, where do you think you guys are right now?
What you mean by that?
Just like in general as a whole. Where do you
Even though like the L's, it hurts to lose, but like I feel like every game is an opportunity for us to get better, and that's what we're doing. Like Coach Brown said, we're getting better on and off the field. So I just feel like the program is going in the right way.
Do you feel that growth?
Oh yeah, most definitely. From last year to now, I feel like this program made a tremendously effort, and we're gonna keep doing that.
Where do you think it's grown? You seem to have grown the most with the team, within the team.
Everywhere, honestly. In the classroom is for me, because I struggled last year. I'm not gonna sit here and lie. Coach Brown came in, me and him talked, and I promised him I will not have no academic problems, and I stand on that since then.
What's it gonna take for you guys to get another win?
I should say, doing what we do. It's all about us. It's not about the outsiders. Like I said, we're gonna come to practice every day, find ways to get better, watch film on our next opponent, and just do what we do.
Coming off Saturday's performance, do you think, how can you guys build on that where you guys forced 2 turnovers in that game?
Watching film, just finding little tips that the other opponent do that we can take from and just learn from there.
So how do you spell your first name?
Janaz. Janaz.
Janaz.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
So you've been in the MEAC.
I've been in the MEAC, Big South, and CAA.
What would you say? I know you've only played a couple of CAA games, but what have you noticed to be the difference between those three?
I was waiting for somebody to answer me that. Honestly, football is football. The only difference is, the size is maybe a little bit, but like football is football. At the end of the day, you gotta be disciplined, you gotta be focused, and to me, there's no big difference. Honestly, it's just being disciplined, more disciplined. Everybody fast, everybody big. It's just football.
What would you say has been your biggest moment since you've been at A&T?
My freshman year, winning the championship. I always wanted to win a ring. I never won one in high school. I've been in some state championships, but I never got one. And hopefully, while I'm still here, hopefully I can get another ring here while I'm here too.
You took my question, so I'm still kind of be on the fly. So you have another year left after this year?
I do.
Okay, gotcha. So you've had the championship experience at one of the elder statesmen of the team. Like, what do you tell the players about, obviously, this year, championships not going to happen, but, just trying to build back towards that, so you can still have that goal?
Like I said earlier, we look at every game as getting better. Going into the season, I thought we was going to do good, but like at the end of the day, we got new coaches, new players, and it's about building and stacking for success.
You mentioned the academic progress with Coach Brown. Would you be open to sharing maybe some of the differences in terms of either policies or emphasis in terms of what Coach Brown is doing to, promote academic standard?
He's like every Monday, like today, we got an academic meeting. So like right after this, I'm going to my coach so he can check on my grades and make sure I keep everything, ahead. He's honestly he's sending players down if you don't got your grades. If you can't, you come here to A&T to get your education, so you can't play football without your grades. So I'm happy he's doing that too.
Since you've been here, under, different coaching staffs, do you notice any difference in terms of the type of players that are being recruited to come here in terms of, either their academic grades or the kind of character kids have coming in or anything like that?
Honestly, I don't know about that question. I just feel like they are bringing in good players that can help the program in the future. I like the young guys that came in. They're really respectful. Good students, good football players.
Yeah, questions for Janaz? Thank you, man. Great job.
You have a blessed evening.
Once again, lunch has been had. Hope you enjoyed it. I just want to say that we've had Dr. Barbara Lash working with our players. She's a media coach, and she's done a wonderful, wonderful job. She deserves a lot of credit. You see the difference in our guys since they've been up here. They're poised. So I just want to give her a round of applause for that as well. We will go ahead and start our radio show in a few minutes. Thank you.